Hello YouTube, it is Wednesday, January 29th, 2022, 6:10 p.m. and I'm waiting in the drive-thru at Arby's. I'd try something different on the way for food on the way to work since I headed out a little bit earlier than normal. I actually was going to stop at Taco Bell, but their drive-thru line wrapped around the building and then some.
Mac and cheese, extra classics, correct?
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you.
Sweet, thank you. Anyway, yeah, I haven't got Arby's in quite a while, so that sounded good. And I had time, so why not? So let's see, 6:11 right now.
Indeed can help her hire great people.
I was actually thinking about not shooting a video today because I really don't have much to say, but since popping into KTAR, they've got some pretty relevant news from the Arizona State Attorney General, who has reviewed all, of course, Roe versus Wade being overturned. That's a big national news item, but it's been very up in the. People are concerned, like how that was going to affect Arizona, and I did on Sunday when I was driving to. I think it was. No, Friday, my bad. Sorry, this week's been kind of a blur. On Friday when I was driving, or maybe it was Sunday. I'm trying to forget what day I was driving. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, into last week, I want to say it was Friday, when I was driving. I caught an interview on KTAR with an interview with a state senator who was saying that I could have sworn it was a 1911 law, but now they're saying a 1901 law that had been struck down by Roe versus Wade would take effect in spite of the fact that they had a new bill limiting abortion that was supposed to that was just signed by the governor this year that was supposed to go into effect very soon. Anyway, there were people saying that what she was saying was wrong, that it would need to be, everything would just need to be evaluated by the Arizona State Attorney General, and to kind of decide, hey, how does this all unravel? And he's finally made a statement today. They've been talking about that. I do think they're going to have Monica, their legal expert, come on and give some clarification as well. Now, there are some people saying that, that may be what the state attorney general is saying, but that doesn't really stand because it still needs to go in front of a judge. And of course, there's always the option, the modern option of, hey, let's just not enforce that law. Anyway, let's see if this is it here.
It is 6:15 now. I'm Becky Lynn, and this afternoon, our breaking news that we learned, Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich provides more clarity on Arizona's abortion laws. He claims the 1901 complete ban on abortion, except to save the mother's life, is now the law. He says it supersedes the 15-week ban that was passed earlier this year. Valley Attorney Barry Markson explains the ban still has to clear one more hurdle.
An injunction was put in place in Pima County after the original Roe v. Wade case was decided in 1973. That injunction must be vacated before the 1901 law can go into effect in Arizona.
According to A.G. Brnovich, his office does plan to ask the court to vacate that injunction soon. Yesterday, former Congressman Matt Salmon dropped out of the Republican primary race for governor.
That blows my mind that an injunction from 50 years ago would still be standing. But then again, it's not too much weirder than a Arizona territorial law from 1901 still standing. So there you go.
To be supporting her, I think she'll be a fantastic governor.
Salmon emphasizes Taylor Robeson is a lifelong conservative and feels she has proven track.
So I guess that's out of the way.
If you're looking to buy a home,
excuse me.
Greg Haig with 72 Sold tells Arizona's Morning News.
So yeah, I'm headed to work.
Actually
It's
2.5 times
6:15. I'm
more
rolling
homes on
pretty
the market
early.
now than there were in January. And he says prices for
I'm
homes
hungry. I'm
is also
so ready
cooling a
for one
bit,
of these
only
sandwiches.
increasing 2% this quarter.
Got the 2 for $6 roast beef.
Forests in northern
Delicious.
Arizona have announced that fire restrictions have been lifted.
Not the most amount of money,
rainfall.
most amount of food I can get for $6, but
Coronado National Forests lifted their fire restrictions last
I
week.
do get tired of
Restrictions
the.
remain in place though for the Prescott.
As much as I like them, I do get tired of the.
You're never more than 15 minutes away from today's top stories on Arizona's news station.
Burger King chicken
KTAR
sandwiches and.
This
Also,
is Jordan, live from the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center. Commute not over, but boy, the freeways are pretty much cashed out. Only one spot of slowing remains.
Yeah, I
and
kind of
that's
burned out on
west
Taco
end of
Bell
the
as well.
I-10 breaking out of town westbound from west of the 303 into Verrado Way. A little over 3 miles of slowing into the Verrado Way construction area. Now, the crash list is not finished with us yet. In fact, we just got a stalled vehicle reported on the I-17 northbound Glendale exit ramp, but other collisions still with us right now. 19th Avenue and Lower Buckeye, Price and Ray Road, Gilbert Road and Chandler Boulevard, 16th Avenue and Happy Valley Road, Glendale east of the 51 and 75th Avenue north of Union Hills near Utopia. Crashed there as well. Detroit Dan, KTAR News.
We had some monsoon storms all across the valley this afternoon, and we could see some more before the night is over. There is a slight chance.
Apparently I slept through
midnight.
those.
88 the overnight low. Tomorrow and Friday, a 20% chance of showers. Will be partly cloudy and about 105 both days. Right now in Maricopa, things really cooled off. It's 95. Weather brought to you by Howard Air. With a replace or repair, call Howard Air.
Sharper Point commentary.
Oh, I like
by
these.
Schwartz Laser Eye Center.
I agree with pollster Mike Noble when he says former Congressman Matt Salmon dropping out of the governor's race is.
A big development in this already heated Arizona GOP primary race.
But I disagree with him on whom of the two remaining GOP candidates, Carrie Lake or Karen Taylor Robeson, benefits most from Salmon's exit. Before we get to that, though, let's let one of the nicest, brightest guys I've ever met, one of Arizona's elder statesmen, tell you the basic reason he dropped out.
There just mathematically wasn't a path forward for me to be victorious.
Matt Salmon was swept into Congress in the '94 Republican Revolution, then won the 2002 Republican nomination for governor before barely losing the general election to Janet Napolitano. But there was nothing close in this year's Republican primary for him, so he told Gatos and Chad he decided to fall on his sword, or his phaser, I guess.
You remember when Spock said sometimes the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few? Well, that's exactly what the situation was here.
You gotta love an elder statesman of Arizona quoting an elder statesman of the United Federation of Planets.
Logic clearly dictates that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
But pollster Mike Noble thinks Carrie Lake will use a tractor beam to pull Salmon's backers into her camp.
The composition of Matt Salmon's voters will end up benefiting Carrie Lake a little bit more than Karen Taylor Robeson.
Even though Matt Salmon just told Mike Broomhead,
I'm going to work my tail off to get Karen Taylor Robeson elected as governor of Arizona.
I just wrote a piece for Phoenix Magazine saying Salmon leaving the race benefits Taylor Robeson more. While I doubt reading my column in the checkout line led Salmon to drop out of the race, I do think the case I laid out in that column is why Salmon quit. It gives Republicans a fighting chance to win in November. Like me, Salmon thinks that Democrat Katie Hobbs would trounce conspiracy theorist Carrie Lake in a general election contest. So he had to try to
Make it so.
Carrie Lake doesn't win. Oops, wrong Star Trek, sorry.
Join Jim Sharp, Jamie West, and Detour Dan tomorrow morning at 5 as they bring you Arizona's morning news. In one of his final cases
adorable.
as a Supreme Court justice, Stephen Breyer joined the sharp dissent against the court's majority overturning Roe v. Wade last week. And now the retiring justice is only a day away from officially leaving the high court.
In his letter to President Biden, soon-to-be former Justice Stephen Breyer writes that once the court releases his final opinions mid-morning Thursday, his retirement becomes effective at noon Eastern Standard Time. Calling it an honor to serve, Justice Breyer notes that Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson has been confirmed as his successor after he gave the White House notice of it.
That's the woman that couldn't answer what a woman is.
Justin Finch, ABC News, Washington.
It is 6:20 now, and we welcome KTAR reporter Luke Forstner into our Arizona's evening news. Hi there, Luke. Luke went to the Arizona PBS debate today between the Republican candidates for governor, and he watched it all live, and now he's going to tell us what some of the highlights were. Luke,
Oh,
who
wow.
all was actually on
I
that
didn't know that was
stage now that
happening,
you
did I?
know Matt Salmon's dropped out. Who's there?
Yes, Becky Lynn. So the 4 candidates were Scott Neely, he's a businessman, Paula Tulani Zen, Karen Taylor Robeson, and Carrie Lake. I think those last 2 are kind of the names that people know the best.
Yep.
And they definitely kind of stole the show a little bit, but they did spend most of the debate kind of talking over one another and trading personal insults. I'm going to play just a quick segment of this debate to kind of give you an idea, but you know, if I had to describe it in one word, I would just kind of say chaotic.
You know what? And this one is
FTC file.
And this one has donated tens of thousands of dollars.
She immediately switched her position when she decided to become
Hold on. Everyone, please.
I was going to ask you, Luke, what issues were discussed, but I'm not sure anybody could hear a thing.
Yeah, no, and a lot of debate sounded like that. 2, 3, 4 people talking at the same time over one another. They did discuss some issues. So one of the big things was the...
Yeah, I've noticed that's something a lot of people can't seem to listen to.
And stolen. She said it's the #1 issue for voters.
I've noticed a lot of times if 2 people are talking at once, the average person can't really make out either of them, or can only really focus on one.
Unfair, and then she added this.
Republican voters now are worried about putting food on their table and gas in their gas tank. I am not going to be in the cul-de-sac that the left wants us to be.
So, you know, disagreement on the importance of issues, and again, even when they were kind of talking about an issue, someone would make a comment, and then all of a sudden it would devolve into name-calling and personal attacks again, and there we were.
Fun.
Sounds familiar. We've seen that kind of debate before. It seems like they're all ending up that way. I'm really amazed they haven't instigated the kill switch on the microphones when it's not your turn. But was there anything the candidates did agree on?
Yeah, so they all agreed on the importance of education, paying teachers to keep them from leaving the state, which is an issue we've been facing. They all agreed on restricting abortion rights in Arizona. Many of them said that life begins at conception, so they would probably, in theory, be in favor of the move today, making the territorial law banning all abortions in Arizona, you know, having that be the law of the land. And they all talked about securing the border. So those were kind of the big issues, but then again, you know, they would be talking about one of those issues, and then it would just become arguing and talking over each other again. So like I said, I was there when the debate taped, and then aired live at 5 on PBS, and if you did miss it, you can watch that full debate on azpbs.org. You can see it for yourself.
And I'm sure we're going to have more on this story tomorrow morning on Arizona's Morning News as well.
Yeah, Jim Cross will be covering all tomorrow morning.
All right. Luke, thank you so much for filling us in, and we'll be talking to you again in a little bit. Meanwhile, at 6:24, as we take a look at the KTAR Business Center, construction has begun on an industrial park in Mesa. It's called Gateway Grand, and it will be over 2 million square feet and include 3 buildings. It is being built at Sossman and Pecos Roads and should be finished by next May. The Postal Service having a job fair tomorrow at the Burton Bar Library in Phoenix from 10:30 to 2. There are 221 jobs available. And if you want more details and to know about other companies who are looking to hire, you can go to ktar.com/jobs. Phoenix slid down to 3rd place in U.S. home price growth after last month's drop to 2nd place after topping the nation for nearly 3 years. Tampa and Miami reported the highest year-over-year gain, while Phoenix still showing a strong increase at 31.3%. Wall Street today, the Dow.
Anyways, I was saying, yeah, it's something I've generally been pretty good at doing, is listening to 2 and sometimes even more people speaking at the same time and being able to follow all of them. Sometimes I'll listen to news radio and watch TV, and I'll follow both of those things. And I guess I'm used to thinking that way, and sometimes I'll find I'll talk over people, and it's not intentional, but I don't expect them to stop talking when I'm talking, just because I can talk and listen at the same time, generally speaking. Like, I don't know, it just seems like it makes the conversation move quicker, but I've noticed a lot of people lack the mental dexterity to do that, so. Anyway, just throwing that out there, because when I was listening to that clip of both the gubernatorial candidates talking over each other, I was able to listen to both of them and hear and make out what both were saying. But yeah, admittedly, it made for some pretty chaotic broadcasting. So, wow, I am way early to work right now. It's 6:25. I mean, I'm not to work, but I'm almost there. And more people passing on the right. It's just such bad form. Last night, just another night of me hitting the wood hard. Just driving the driving the forklift, loading wood. They didn't have me load any boxes all day. In fact, at one point, I think they even brought in another forklift driver to unload trucks, which part of me feels a little bit slighted by that. Like, hey, I'm here. Y'all know I'm here. I can do this. But what I'm doing with the wood is a job in and of itself, and I almost get the feeling nobody else even, like, they just is. I think the whole department at this point is just really happy that I'm doing it the way I'm doing it, because it does need to be done. And granted, had I, get pulled away from that to unload a truck or two, I would not have got as much done as I got done. And I stayed busy the entire night doing it. Now, granted, I got a 2-hour late start because I overslept a little bit yesterday. Yeah, all's well that ends well. Didn't quite get it to where I wanted it to be at the end of the night, but I still left the wood loading zone in a pretty good place for day shift. And kind of the same as the other day. Like, I finished up an unfinished truck when I got there. It didn't have a whole lot to go to finish it, but I finished it. And then I did one truck completely by myself through the course of the night. And I've kind of figured out a way to pack them in there tight enough that I'm pretty convinced I'm getting... Well, I got an asshole there rolling coal. I'm pretty sure I'm getting 2 stacks of pallets more in a truck than everybody else is, because usually the truck, there's like about half a pallet or 3/4 of a pallet worth of space at the back end of it, and I'm packing mine in tight enough that I have it full, like literally right to the door. So that's I feel pretty good about that. And I seem to be I'm every stack 20 pallets. I've noticed that the trucks that are unfinished from day shift, I can look in the truck and see that not every stack is at 20 pallets, which I'm thinking is probably just an operation of, like, the water spiders bringing the wood back in uneven stacks that aren't always stacked to 10, and then whoever the forklift driver is just simply not carrying and taking 2 stacks that are each less than 10 and putting them on top of each other and throwing them in the truck, versus taking the effort to hop off the forklift and actually stack them up neatly into stacks of 10, which I'm glad they're giving me the time to do that. No, it's debatable, which costs, Amazon, because Jeff Bezos is so broke, right? He needs to watch that money. But which was costing Amazon more, my labor to do that, or the gas that's transporting, less pallets. But I feel like I'm doing a good thing, trying to get as many pallets as possible in the truck, and in the meantime.
For another round of monsoon storms tonight. All of these stories and much more coming up. But right now we got to
sort of saving fuel. I mean, it's not my fuel, but I just like the concept of simply saving fuel. So the most exciting thing that happened last night, and I'm glad I remembered it now before I ran out of time to mention it. We had a bat in the warehouse. A baby bat, little tiny thing. I saw it. It was fluttering around me. It was shockingly kind of cute. I feel really sorry for the bat. That has to be. I mean, bats like quiet, dark places, and the inside of
east of 19th
of an Amazon warehouse is exactly the opposite of that. It is very bright in there. There's bright halogen lighting all across the ceiling. And just so many loud noises between the conveyors and things clanging and banging, and it's a loud place. So, and you know, voices of so many people working. So apparently the bat came in maybe about a half hour before I got there, flew out of one of the inbound trucks as they were unloading it, and caused a bit of stir on the docks. Who radioed to safety. Like, what is the safety department going to do about that? It's kind of funny. I had a fun conversation with, I think she's the number 2 in the safety department. So, black woman. I want to say she's probably around 30, mid-30s. Super cute, and she's got a great personality. Her and I click pretty well, although she gives me total, kind of gives me lesbian vibes. So, anyway, not like we've had any kind of conversation with any inklings of, you know, maybe hooking up or going out. But and on a completely different subject, I wanted to show this. So I was I gave one of my coworkers a ride home this morning, and was trying to explain to him how to get over to the bus stop at 79th and McDowell. And so I came over here just to kind of show him where the bridge is, and I was surprised to see that all the homeless encampments are gone. Now, the one really big van that has had people living in it since before I was working at Amazon, that was still parked further down the road, like right over by Roosevelt Street, and I'm sure the guy was living in it. But that van does move around, so it's obviously you know, registered, licensed, insured. So not the same level as these people that were here with their RVs, some of which look broken down, and all the tents and the generators. So really kind of surprised to see this whole area cleaned up like it's been. And well, there's a sign over there. I'm sitting here driving loops. There's private property. There's private property is on the other side of that fence. That's PetSmart property. This area where I'm driving in circles, pretty sure this is public property. This would be, you know, a City of Phoenix easement. This is definitely 79th Avenue, an unfinished bit of 79th Avenue between the overpass on I-10 and where the street continues to the south, and then that field there, which is just full of like tumbleweeds. Kind of disappointed. I was kind of hoping I'd see corn over here too, although I'm sure if there was corn I would have noticed it by now. But I'm sure that's private property. But anyway, thought I'd share that the homeless encampment is gone. That was surprised the hell out of me. So I was explaining to the guy that I gave a ride home this morning. He was waiting for a lift, and I usually sit and chat with him, you know, in the morning. And he's a water spider in my department. Is one of the ones who makes an effort to bring the wood pallets to me. And anyway, he's like, I was sitting there waiting for a lift. I'm like, dude, where are you going to? And it was not even remotely out of my way to take him home. It's like, yeah, I'll go to the east side. So I'll head that direction, not a problem. But yeah, I was kind of explaining, you know, to Tom, it's like, well, damn, how much does that cost you? He's like, well, it's $16 each way. And I'm like, so $32 on a job where you make like $16 an hour minus taxes. I mean, realizing you like 2.5 hours of your 10-hour shift is just going for that ride, right? He's like, oh, I didn't really think about it like that. It was amazes me that people don't think about things like that. That's simple math. Like, I think about everything in terms of math. Anyway, I was like, yeah, it sucks. I'm like, Said the whole time I didn't have my car. I drove. I took the bus. It takes a while, but it's, you know, it's at least my money's going in my pocket, and it got me to, you know, having my car sooner. My money not being pissed away on rideshare. But anyway, I was explaining that, you know, for where he was going, that would be his best deal to catch that bus to or walk over that bridge and then catch the bus on McDowell. Granted, I think the one going south to Van Buren is a little bit closer, but I'll get in there faster. Anyway, yeah, so kind of tripping. Those are gone. So anyway, as far as the bat, not much to tell about the bat. I kind of heard about it when I got there, and that was kind of entertaining. And then I was wondering if I would see it whatsoever. And as I went to check out my forklift, it was fluttering over by the forklift chargers. Now there's an area over there that's mostly empty, but occasionally they use it for cleaning plastic totes. And comparatively speaking, it is one of the quieter places in the warehouse where there's hardly ever any people. So obviously the bat found a place where it was, less scared, and it was just kind of flying in little circles really close to me. It was a little tiny thing. I mean, its wingspan couldn't have been any more than 6 inches. A little tiny thing. I was really, really hoping inside that it would fly into the trailer that I was loading with wood, and in hopes that it would maybe encourage it. I have a big spotlight that I shine into the truck so I can see where I'm going, and instead I generally did it in the dark. I can see good enough in the dark. I can generally do it, except in the very back of the truck. I'd have to turn on the light on my forklift going in, but like once I get about 4 or 5 piles in, there's just enough ambient light that comes in from the warehouse that I can generally see what I'm doing. There's not much to see. I mean, there's the truck, there's the wood. But yeah, I was really hoping it would fly in there, because I figured a bat that flew in there would be could easily hide inside the wood. That's kind of close to where a bat would normally kind of want to hide anyway. And it could get, comfortable in there, generally be left alone up until the point that the truck gets closed down, and then it would be hauled off to a pallet yard where it's unloaded outside and would be able to fly off and hopefully find other bats, as a bat by itself is an unusual thing and probably a very confused thing. Anyway, I have no idea where it went. The last time I saw it was when I was checking out my forklift, and it was in the charger area, fluttering around, and I went back in that area a few times and never did see it. I was hoping I would see it, but I didn't. Talked to a handful of people about it. Of course, that was a hot topic of discussion last night. I said, hey, did you see the bat? But a couple people mentioned that it most likely just being a bat looking for a dark place it can hide, and looking for a quiet place, would probably head over to KRB long-term storage. And mostly what is in KRB is just really tall shelves. And what I mean by really tall is, you can see how tall the building is to the right. Think shelves that pretty much go to the ceiling of that building. They use special lifts to access those. I don't know if I could ever work on one of those lifts, because the guys that work those lifts actually lift themselves up with the lifts, and I don't like heights that much, so I don't see me ever doing that. But that area isn't always active, and sometimes for days at a time there's nobody even working over there, and especially at night. Now maybe it's worked every day in the daytime, but certainly at night. Now that doesn't mean they shut off the lights. It's still pretty bright over there. However, on each of these shelves are pallets of goods, and I could totally see the bat getting inside, getting inside a wooden pallet, and that being dark enough for it to feel comfortable and safe and hiding there. And I'm not sure when at some point it's got to come out and look for food, and a few people say they pretty much just live on bugs. And granted, I don't see too many bugs in the warehouse, so it might have a challenge looking for food. But anyway, I hope the best for the bat. I really do. Anyway, on that batty note, I'm gonna head in and go to work. As far as the girlfriend thing, not really anything to report on that. I kind of sat outside and and chatted with coworkers well into the morning, and then I gave him a ride, and we just kind of sat and bullshitted about, talk shop for a while in front of his place. So by the time I was heading home, it was too late to really know whether she had stayed the night somewhere else or stayed the night at my place, and I am really trying to get myself mentally to the point where I just don't give a shit. So keeping with that, I just went to the bar and had my liquid breakfast, which was great. Oh, which reminds me, I never did get my Circle K Sip and Save drink. I went to 2 different Circle K's today, and both of them the soda fountains were broke down. I went to 32nd Street in Roosevelt and also 32nd Street in Van Buren because I was thinking about going to my storage. I've got some empty aluminum cans and plastic bottles in the car, and I figured I'd unload those. And since I was wearing my work shoes and it was like 7 a.m. by the time I got over there, I was thinking, well, gosh, it's reasonably cool out. I'm actually up at 7 a.m. and I'm in this neighborhood at 7 a.m. I should maybe go crush some recycling. But I should stop and get a drink first because I need to stay hydrated, while I'm crushing recycling. And I stopped at the 2 Circle K's that were kind of on the way, getting off the freeway, heading to my storage, and neither of them had it. By the time I got the second one, I'm like, I think I'm just gonna get a couple of those cheese brought dogs and head to the bar instead, which is what I did. I'm not sure what time I got home, but it was definitely after 8 a.m. And by then she was already in Lily's room, talking on the phone. Now she did kind of surprise me at one point. I was laying in bed about half awake, and she came in and gave me a sandwich. She said she had to go to her office and get another laptop, so maybe the problem was her computer and not the internet. And I found that kind of interesting. Like, she brought me a sandwich. I think she thought I was going to eat right then, and I ended up just putting it in the fridge because it's like, no, I'm going back to sleep. But the way it's labeled fresh and ready foods there, that's the same way our sandwiches are labeled in the break room here at Amazon. So apparently they have the same food supplier, which of course I never did get around to calling to try to see if they had video or times from the person who stole my debit card. Kind of dropped the ball on that one. Although I think I got refunded on everything, so I guess all's well that ends well. But I really, really wanted the person who did that to kind of get caught and fired. And I'm sure, since I didn't follow up on that, I highly doubt that loss prevention or HR followed up on it either. But anyway, I was kind of surprised she brought me the sandwich, and not that she laid down and made out with me or anything, and I don't think she really had time for that anyway, but it was an unexpected nice gesture, and I appreciate it. Anyway, I gotta go to work. It is 6:43. Thanks for coming with on the drive.